You know that feeling when you're scrolling through real estate listings and one just stops you in your tracks? It looks so bright, so spacious, you can almost immediately see yourself living there? Well, that's not just luck. That's the art of home staging. It's a really smart, strategic process that's all about turning a house into a buyer's absolute dream home. And we're going to break down exactly how it works. This right here, this quote, gets to the very heart of it. At first glance, it isn't really about the numbers or the square footage. It's all about creating an instant, emotional connection. It's that gut feeling a buyer gets the second they see the photos or walk through that front door. It's about making them fall in love. So, what's the biggest thing getting in the way of creating that perfect first impression? Well, ironically, it's everything that makes a house a home for the person living there. You know, the family photos, the comfy clutter, the whole story of your life. All of that can actually stop a buyer from being able to picture theirs. Okay, so you've basically got two different mindsets a buyer can walk into. On one side, you've got the lived-in home, which creates a lot of visual noise and tells a very, very specific personal story. But what we're aiming for is on the other side, the move-in ready dream. It feels calm, it shows off the home's best features, and, this is key, it gives the buyer a blank canvas to paint their own future on. And that's the whole point, really. It's all about this huge psychological shift. Good staging isn't about erasing personality or making a house feel sterile. It's about making space for a new personality. The goal is to get a buyer to stop thinking, oh, this is the seller's house, and start thinking, wow, this could be my house. That's a powerful switch. All right, so how do we actually do this? How do we make that transformation happen? Well, it's not magic, believe me. It's actually a very practical three-step process that can get just about any home ready for the market. Here they are. Simple, right? Declutter, depersonalize, and neutralize. You can think of these as the three pillars of staging. Each one builds on the other to create a space that feels calm, super appealing, and just full of potential. Let's dig into each one, starting at the top. First up, decluttering. This is absolutely foundational. We're talking about clearing off those surfaces, organizing the shelves, and just removing all that extra stuff to get rid of what photographers call visual noise. And the effect? It's immediate. Photos look way brighter, rooms feel bigger, and buyers can actually focus on the bones of the house, not the stuff inside it. Next is depersonalizing. This is where you really create that blank canvas we talked about. You're swapping out things like family photos or really specific, niche decor for simpler, more neutral pieces. This is what lets buyers start to mentally move their stuff in and imagine their own life there. It's especially important for things like virtual tours, where you want the space to appeal to as many people as possible. And the last piece of the puzzle, neutralizing. This is what pulls everything together. Think soft textures, warm lighting, and calm, balanced colors. It just creates this vibe of comfort, peace, and dependability. A neutral home just feels well taken care of, you know? And man, does it photograph beautifully, which is so important for getting those clicks online. Okay, so that's all the theory, but let's see how these three steps actually play out in the real world. I want to show you a success story that really drives home the impact this can have. And that's a fair question, right? You might be thinking, how much difference can this really make? I mean, we're just moving some furniture around and packing some boxes. How big of a deal can it be for the final sale? Well, you'd be surprised. Let's take a look. So, let's take a look at this house in East Bridgewater. The key thing here is that this wasn't some massive, expensive overhaul. Nope, it was a simple refresh. The sellers just followed the steps we talked about. They decluttered, they packed away their personal stuff, and they brought in a few neutral touches that made the whole space feel fresh again. And boom! The effect was instant. As soon as the new photos and virtual tour went live, the home just came alive online. Suddenly, you could actually see the amazing natural light and the great flow of the floor plan, details that were kinda hidden before. The listing was telling a much clearer, more inviting story. And here's the result. The listing blew up. We're talking steady attention within hours of going live. And the final outcome? It sold for above the asking price. That's not an accident. That's what happens when a solid staging strategy meets great marketing. So let's bring it all home and talk about the real payoff here. Because staging isn't just about making a house look pretty. It's about a real return, both emotionally for the buyer and, of course, financially for the seller. At its core, what staging really does is build an emotional connection. When a buyer walks into a place that feels clean, open, and just solid, it builds trust. It makes them feel like the home has been taken care of, and that positive first impression is huge. It carries through the whole process. And that trust, that emotional connection, that's what leads directly to a higher return on investment. It's pretty simple. Buyers who fall in love with a place make faster, stronger offers. So that small investment in staging up front, it totally pays off by turning people who are just browsing into serious buyers. So I'll leave you with this question. Every single space tells a story. Whether you're selling it or just living in it, staging is just the art of making sure you're telling the right story at the right time. So take a look around your own place. What story is it telling right now?